again, Latino Greeks is just tanking all their events. They can't compete. iCaramba.com, which Al, in the prior episode, I always hated that name, and I always told you I hated that name. Please tell me that wasn't your idea to name the company iCaramba.
I don't
Just say
was it
no.
my idea? I don't remember. It might have been
No,
like the URL that was available. It
yeah,
definitely like yeah.
Did you like it? Were you like, oh,
I liked it because it stuck in your head. It was easy. That to me, like branding wise, like a name like Icaramba, like is one of a kind. So if you can grab it, get it. It's easy name to remember.
Okay. So all right. So then iCaramba.com is not doing well in these live events because of Latino Greeks' inability to
perform.
To execute
exactly
well. So then all right, so Al, then talk about then you and Dave discussing, all right, Latino Step guys, like how do we bring them involved?
Okay, so I'm gonna fast forward to like we had a barbecue event like off the East River, like in Roberto Clemente Park. That was another like live event that we did that was a Latino Greeks, and we invited the Greeks. I don't know if it was Greek games or something like that, but
I think it was game. I remember games of people doing tug of war or something.
So you should. I remember you were there, 100%. You were there.
Yes.
GC, I don't remember you being there, man. But so that was when like we started to like. I remember having a conversation like this, like right in front of you, trying to tell you about the company, about us, and like you were like, your face to me was like hate. It was like, who is this guy? This chubby Ecuadorian guy with these, like you said, tight shorts, talking to me about Ay Caramba, the name you hate, and about our company, and I was trying to do my best to just tell you like maybe like why we started the company, and just trying to convince you to have an open mind. But you definitely in your previous episode, GC said that you guys were or he was suspicious of us. So that is definitely the exact. I got that same thing from you. And I remember like, just leaving there kind of like depressed because it didn't seem like you were like even interested in joining us. And, I knew, I'm not going to speak for Chantel, but I knew that having you guys on board and having your show on board the way, the way it was integral for us to succeed in live events.
Jesus, anything you want to add?
No. I mean, this is fascinating take. I wasn't at the barbecue, so I don't know these stories. So I'm learning as I go. But one thing I do want to kind of mention that I feel like we have overlooked and not even talked about is kind of Al's gift and like what he did for Ay Caramba and what he did for us later on, which is, oftentimes with any business, like the product is what the end product is what people see and feel. And so like the design, Al was the head designer for LACOM, Ay Caramba, and later Latino Step as well. And what he did for their brand, like he had their platform looking competitive to the Migentes of the world, at the time, which was really telling, and kind of made the company real, if you will, because that's what people saw. And so I think that with Latino Greeks, one of the threats to me, one of the suspicious pieces for me was their flyers were just like on point. Like the graphics, they were at a different level than what we were doing. Like we were doing some very, Anthony and I were just like picking fonts and like picking random images and getting, this designer to do a logo or this, and it was just kind of piecemeal all around. And so I think you have this gift of bringing together a brand and making it whole, and that's something you did for us. But I know I'm skipping ahead here, and we can kind of get back to after the barbecue, and then here's some samples of his work.
Yeah, so you know what, guys, without you, it's definitely like a team thing, because without you guys, like we definitely couldn't take the next step, and have success. So we knew we needed you guys, and for me working with your brand, like I love taking brands and like making them, what they are, and I knew there was something there. So I just basically took what you guys had and what you guys created, and I just made it, a little bit more out there, like, to make the people who are participating or are going to be like, we need to be at this event because this is the shit,
Right.
So
Right. So are you guys looking at the back in Chicago flyer right now?
yes.
So this is actually one of my all-time favorite designs. That LS and like that Broadway style font, it was like amazing to me.
That's a take on the Chicago. Sorry guys, that's someone's calling me.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
It's okay.
And I'll pick up there. Like I think Al, like so I didn't tie this all together, but now you have a guy with tremendous advertising experience, years and years working at an agency, and you plug that into a college event, like now all of the college students that we are working with and that we're integrating with, like they're experiencing some high level design, whether they understand it or not. I think, at the beginning, I didn't understand it. And then over time, I started to really appreciate the levels that we were kind of growing to. And the fact that this is a college event at its core, and yet they're getting Broadway level flyers or like, the type of advertising that you would only see like in magazines and in trains, et cetera, at the time. So really took us to a different level.
I agree, man. Like, I was really excited. So Al says that like when he first met me, I was a jerk, and I'm sure he's correct. But once we started working, like Al was my favorite guy in the office. Aside
Guys,
from
give me 1 second.
It's fine. It's fine. Al was my favorite guy in the office aside from Miss Susan, and when he would pump out like these designs, I was like, man, he's like, I just loved everything he did. I'm gonna share this other one.
Actually, before you shift flyers here, like this is the contrast. Actually, this is a perfect contrast. If you look in the bottom right of this flyer, you see the Latino Step logo that we made, and it actually looks like it looks so out of place on this flyer.
You're so disrespectful, Jesus. I was
But guys, I mean, I took that little icon that you had there, and I mean, I went with it. So,
No, I remember. So Jesus is pointing. Can you see my little cursor?
Yeah,
or no?
I can see it.
All right. So Jesus is pointing to this little jammy right here, and this is. So I didn't design the silhouette of those guys. That was Ernesto, a fraternity brother of ours, Ernesto Cuevas, who actually designed those guys, and I was super appreciative of him for doing that for us. And I did the word art of Latino Step, which is it's terrible. And then I'm going to show you when Al redoes it. Oh, you can see it here. Sorry. So in this same right here, in this, but then this Latino Step part right here. But you had done another one, Al, where you put it like in an oval, a long oval.
Yeah, it's in red. I think it's one of the flyers. Yeah.
I'm trying to find.
So the idea behind that, guys, is like when you think of the NBA, right? You have, or the MLB, you have the guy, with the bat, you have the basketball player. So that, to me, like you guys were like, like that, like you guys were major league for stepping. So that was the idea behind it. I'm like, these guys, I want to create something. So, when someone sees it, they say, okay, okay, that's Latino Step. When you see the the major league logo, there you go. Major League, NBA, that's iconic. So I was trying to make something for you guys iconic, which I think works.
I think it is iconic. I love it, but I know people listening don't even remember this or weren't even around for this. But so let's look at this flyer, right? This Albany, New York. So here was the Ay Caramba College tour, which I remember Al talking to you about. This bus logo didn't do well in terms of designing when you shrunk it.
Yeah,
so that was problematic. I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
And then Al doing, making this look really nice with the Latino Step. And then that's our host, Gabriel Alvarez.
Yeah. So the idea was always to have the Ay Caramba brand out there. So we needed to have the logo, the Ay Caramba so that was why you saw, that orange color, the orange bus. I forget who did that bus. It might've been Silvestri or somebody like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But branding is important, so that's why you have to have your colors represented, just like you guys were LUL. You have your LUL colors, those always stand out when when LUL's in the stands,
Right.
brown and gold. So
Okay.
same thing. You guys had asked me a question. This guy was in Lambda Theta Phi, by the way.
Oh yes, nice.
Yeah.
Good, nice
I
organization.
don't remember the colors of those guys.
Brown and white, I believe.
Okay.
Brown and white.
So yeah. So if you want to go back, yeah. So you and I met, and then from there, I don't kind of remember like how you guys can maybe you guys can come in, like how you guys eventually made it in. But like I said before, we did the same vesting schedule that we had offered Frank Valencia from Latino Greeks. And again, that was to make sure that you guys would stay on board for the time period that we thought we needed you guys to make this this brand Latino Step successful within the company.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So then, any other things that stand out in terms of conversation when we were getting closer? So you were making attempts to talk to us and me and Jesus, and then as we got closer, any other things that stand out in terms of negotiating or?
You guys can probably fill in more with that because I know
Okay.
Chitel had a lot to do during the negotiation.
Right.
And
do you remember when you found out that we were agreeing to join? Do you remember any discussions there?
No, I don't remember. But
Okay.
I remember you guys came into the office, obviously, to sign the paperwork and all that stuff.
Yes.
Our office on 38th Street.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, to us, it was a huge victory, man. And I think in the beginning it wasn't it wasn't too friendly, but obviously, we all became pretty close.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we merge, LatinoGreeks.com shows tank. We're able to put teams on contract, and then we are actually, we join iCaramba.com.
And immediately you guys are put to work.
Yeah, our first show, I don't know if you remember, Al, the first show that we worked on was Orlando at UCF.
Okay.
It was in November, and I can't remember if it was a Step or a Stroll show, Jesus. Do you remember what format it was?
No, I'm not. I don't recall. I think it was a combination, a hybrid, most likely.
Okay. So in terms of the timeline, what happens is that that's right. So basically we merge October 16th, LS and LG and and Icaramba, we all merge and we make an announcement. And then in October 4th, we actually launch University Latino magazine as an insert in the Urban Latino magazine.
Yes, I remember that insert, man. That was another thing that when we saw that, we're like, wow, that was whoever's idea was that was a great idea. That was another thing that made you guys,
appealing
and different than, Latino Greeks, So to us, to me personally, it would have been much better just to grab you guys and not even Latino Greeks, But I mean, we needed a CFO, so Frank fit that mold perfectly.
Yeah, in theory, if we had met, I guess, prior to you guys meeting Latino Greeks, then maybe Latino Greeks wouldn't have been
the
needed.
connection with Frank too was the collegiate circuit. We ended up doing stuff with them. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Their C-Fest out in California. I mean, that whole thing, was great. We were trying to get those guys as well, by the way.
No, I remember. I do remember. It didn't work out. That would have been good.
Yeah, University Latino, again, great idea. The insert was great. I mean, Urban Latino was pretty popular back then, that magazine, because it was the only thing out there for us, right? That really made sense, that we, that we can read, and that, that was for us. So that insert, again, was amazing, even though it was kind of thin, but,
it was very thin.
But it had great content, and
I was the chief designer. Do you remember actually reading it?
Yes,
the 2 pages that it was? It was like 2.
It was very impressive, and that's something that we knew that we could take to the next level. which we eventually did with Ay Caramba magazine.
Yeah, and when we were negotiating to merge, I remember Dave, like, it almost was like not even mentioned. Like, it's like, oh well, it's like he kind of like tossed it to the side, like it was like a throw-in thing. Like
Typical. That's a typical,
that's a typical negotiating
Yeah.
tactic. Yeah, never undervalue your assets, even if they are not.
In that case, you should have said like, well, then don't. That's not part of the deal. Trust me.
Right.
You would have said like, oh no, that's part of the deal.
That would have been great, but again, not knowing, again, having no one consulting with us, no advisory board, we had no one. It was just like me and Jesus. Like,
and you can see we put it on our flyers. You saw it. You had a flyer with the logo. We used it.
Yeah. So what ends up happening with the magazine is that it gets bought with Ay Caramba. It's together, and then we end up rolling it out independently, right, as a standalone, and then we ended up sending like 500 copies to universities across the country. I remember I know I was on the phone. I was in charge of distribution at one point of the magazine, and we were at maybe over 100 colleges. It was a free magazine that they would just plop in
Remember, it was audited by BPA.
Yes, that was a big deal.
So, I mean, because no one's going to advertise in a magazine that's not audited. Whoever's out there, not that magazines are big now, they're actually dying, but at that time, if you had a magazine and it was audited, so it proved to your advertiser that the circulation was real,
legitimate.
That was key. And again, the only reason we renamed it Ay Caramba, was because of the branding. We wanted to continue the branding.
But then we named it something else afterwards, right? Don't we?
Yes, when you guys were sold to Batanga, it became when Batanga bought everything. I think it was renamed something else. I forget.
Latino.
I thought
Latino U for a short time, and then
that's what I'm saying. We named it Latino U after Ay Caramba when we were all together working, right? Wait,
no. While I was there, we had at least 6, maybe 10 issues under with the name Ay Caramba. I actually have the graphics. I should have sent them to you.
If you can pull them up, you can share screen.
All right, let me see if I can pull them up. But it was we had the first cover. The first cover was the Latino Leguizamo, who was a partner. That's something that you left out. He was a partner of Ay Caramba. He was an owner.
Okay.
So the first issue was with him on the cover.
Yes, I remember that issue. Orange. I remember the orange.
Yes, and the second issue was with the actor that was in the Suicide Squad, the Hispanic guy.
I remember Rosalind Sanchez. We had on the cover.
Yes. Who's the guy from Suicide Squad? Who's
Wilmer?
Jay Hernandez.
Jay Hernandez. He was on the cover as well.
He was like a popular guy.
Yeah.
But it's funny. My daughter, she's 7 now, and somehow we all got into watching Nacho Libre, the movie.
Yeah.
And I remember finding out about Nacho Libre because we interviewed him for our magazine when that came out. Jack Black.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that must have been like later, right? Because I don't remember that.
No. You were there, bro.
Yeah? Okay.
Jesus, how many years? So after Al parted ways and went his own way with the company, how long was I there? I felt like I wasn't there much longer after Al left.
You were there till 2006. I don't remember Al's.
Al, what year did you leave?
It was 2005 because I remember my mom passed away.
Yeah, I remember. It wasn't too long, but yeah, you were around, Al, for Nacho Libre.
Okay.
It was such a small movie that no one even it wasn't it wasn't like a blockbuster, but like.
Right.
But now we're watching it. It's such a great movie, man. It's so hilarious.
Well, I'll send you guys. I can't pull it up right now, but I'll send you guys the covers.
So don't worry.
Have him on a later show, but yeah. So Universit Latina was a great idea that you guys had, and the content inside, right? Obviously had Step content, all stuff that would obviously we would continue in some of the other magazines, just to have. And if you guys want to tell the reader, the listeners too, we use the Latino Greek network. That's how we disperse these magazines. We had fraternities, put up these stands and distribute. We'd send them boxes of these magazines, and they would put them out for us. Right.
Yeah, Jesus, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the magazine probably deserves its own show. Just as the more we're talking about it, like the more I'm realizing like the layers and layers of things that we had to do to make it real, But
and remember that the magazine was not like a 2-3 pager. It was a full magazine. So that's why, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, I didn't make a lot of these trips because I was in the office next door putting together this magazine. We designed it in Quark, actually, Quark Express, which is that old program.
Man. Yeah.
And I mean, you had to get, you know, all the files ready, send it to the printer, deal with the printer. They would send us copies, like you know, like to see if it was printed correctly. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. So that's like, you know, and if we go on and for future shows, that was my lesson in business, which I use now, is never, you know, even if you're doing a lot of work like that, you can never be in the back room, because that's what happens. You know, you have to be up in front. That's why, you know, when things happen at the end, when I left the company, it was kind of like for the listeners out there, you know, when it was a whole like Facebook thing, right? When that whole Zuckerberg and his partners parted ways in a bad way, we had the same situation with me and the person I founded the company with, Dave Chattel. So, you know, that taught my lesson from that was never be in the back, because you never know, you know, when it comes down to it, business wise, people need to know who the founders are.